what's the best food to eat after cycling? This video is going to be not one, but 3 different recipes for risotto to give you a big, tasty hit of carbohydrate after a long ride or run. We're doing a series of simple recipes for cyclists and runners over winter until we can get out on more adventure rides. Because it's too easy to reach for rubbish food after a ride, you can prepare hours in advance, then finish off when you get home. This recipe takes a little more work, but hey, it's 3 meals in one. And that's because with risotto you add the main flavors right at the end. So in this video we will do a tomato and garlic risotto, a butternut squash risotto that is good enough for a dinner party, and a classic mushroom risotto. But they all start in exactly the same way with the risotto base. You need very few ingredients. This is for 2 people. Arborio risotto rice, 1 onion, some white wine, you're only going to use half of one of these tiny bottles, some parmesan, a knob of butter, and a stock cube, or bouillon powder, it's the same thing. Chop the onion and fry it gently 10 minutes to soften. I measure my rice in one of these small glasses. It's about 170 grams for 2 people. Make up 750 ml of stock in a jug from which you can pour. That's important. When the onion is soft, fry the rice for about a minute, then pour in half the small wine bottle, about 150 ml. Let that sizzle for a minute or so. Get the heat medium to low and start pouring in the stock in small quantities and stirring. You're going to keep doing this for about 25 minutes. Don't try to rush it on a higher heat. It doesn't work. I've tried. You end up with rice like bullets or burnt. Pour in a glug of stock, stir, leave it a couple of minutes and repeat. Gradually the rice swells and goes a bit oozy. Taste it with a fork at 20 minutes, and when it's soft, grate in the parmesan, add the knob of butter, stir and put the lid on with the pan on a very low heat. That is the risotto base done. Lockdown's probably a good time to practice these recipes. But when you can get out and you live in the Highlands, I mean, I don't want to gloat, but goodness me, what fantastic views. Obviously you have to decide in advance what flavour you are making. And the easiest is probably the mushroom risotto. So let's start there. Heat some oil and chuck in a punnet of chopped chestnut mushrooms to fry. It doesn't take long, and when they're starting to soften, squeeze in half a lemon, some salt and pepper. Add this to the base risotto, making sure all the juice goes in too. Stir it in, and that's it. You're ready to serve it, and I guarantee you will love the result. That all takes 45 minutes after your ride. I always prepare the base fresh, but you can get organised earlier in the day. One of the things I particularly like about risotto is that you can prepare some of the flavours well in advance and then go out for a ride, putting it all together when you get back. And that is particularly true of this next one. A little advance work is needed for the butternut squash risotto. This is the squash after being chopped into rings, brushed with oil and put in a 200 Celsius oven for 40 minutes. Keep a couple of the rings when you've taken out the seeds. The others, remove the skin, chop and put in a bowl. You can do all this well in advance. After your ride, when you've made the risotto base, stir in the chopped squash and leave it on the heat to warm through. The saved rings with the skin on, it is edible, go in the microwave for 2 minutes. To be fancy, get goat's cheese and fry some sage leaves. Spoon the risotto onto the hot ring, crumble on the gooey goat's cheese and the sage leaves, and this is utterly delicious. We're just along the coast from Ardgour, which means point of the goat. And you can often smell before you see the wild goats around here. So if you just look up that hillside, there's a few grazing in the sun. And they're often to be found by the roadside as well. The goat's cheese and the sage does add a bit of faff, but it elevates this meal, and it's good enough for any dinner party, if we are ever allowed to have them again. So the third recipe is based on a Jamie Oliver one. And you know, I've been thinking it could even be easier than the mushroom risotto. In fact, 4 fairly big tomatoes and an entire bulb of garlic. It is less powerful when roasted. Cut the cores out of the tomatoes, squeeze them into a compact roasting tin along with that garlic, olive oil and some herbs. Fresh thyme would be ideal, but it's currently winter and there's none in the garden. That goes in the oven for 1 hour. If you had to use small cherry tomatoes, make it 30 minutes. And when they're done, spoon the oozing tomatoes onto the risotto base. Squeeze the garlic cloves out of the bulb and scatter them on top of the tomatoes. Spoon the glorious tomato sauces on top, and that is it. So as you can see, it really is all about the base, and I'm going to give you another recipe. Just take a very large handful of frozen peas, pour on some boiling water, and then 30 seconds later sieve them, and then put those into that risotto base, along with squeezing the juice of half a lemon, and you've got a classic lemon and pea risotto. Put a bit of grilled or baked fish on top of that, ideally a white fish, and it's absolutely fantastic. So, as I say, get the base right and you can freestyle your own combinations. So let us know in the comments if you come up with anything new, and I might be able to try that too. And if you've enjoyed this, please give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you next time.